My husband got a paternity test on our daughter and it came back negative, but I never cheated. Now he thinks our relationship is a lie and wants to divorce. Hello everyone, before we start today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel is losing traction and subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free and allow us to continue bringing you great content. Your support means everything. Let's keep this channel growing together. Now let's begin the video. Up until a few months ago, I genuinely thought I had the perfect marriage. My husband Daniel and I met during sophomore year of college after I accidentally spilled coffee all over his laptop in the library. I cried so hard that he spent 20 minutes comforting me while his computer literally dripped onto the floor. That was the kind of man he was. Patient, gentle, funny in this really quiet way. We spent our 20s growing up together, and when we finally got married, it honestly felt like the universe had handed me my person. Then 5 years ago, we had our daughter Lily, and Daniel completely fell apart the second he held her. I still remember him crying in the hospital saying, "She has your nose." From that moment on, Lily was his entire world. He learned how to braid her hair from YouTube videos, built pillow forts with her in the living room, let her paint his nails bright pink even before work meetings. Every night before bed, she'd run into his arms yelling, "Daddy, story time!" And somehow he always had the energy for one more story. That's why what happened later feels so horrifying now. Because when I look back, the change in him happened slowly. At first it was tiny things. He became weirdly quiet. Then he started spending hours locked inside his office at night. Then one day he randomly asked to see my phone. I remember laughing because I thought he was joking. But he wasn't. When I asked why, he just said, "I don't know, I've just been feeling weird lately." At first I handed it over because I had absolutely nothing to hide. But here's the painful part. His relationship with Lily changed too. He started distancing himself from her. Sometimes I'd catch him staring at her with this strange expression on his face before quickly looking away. So one night I finally asked him directly, and instead of answering, he just started crying. I didn't understand what was happening. But then, the next morning everything finally made sense. I was making breakfast for Lily before school when Daniel walked into the kitchen holding papers in his hand. And I immediately knew something was wrong. His hands were shaking. He looked sick, like somebody had died. Then he looked at me and said, "She's not mine." I genuinely thought he was joking. Then he handed me the papers. It was a paternity test results. And as if that wasn't shocking enough, it read 0% probability. I remember staring at the page feeling like my brain literally stopped functioning. Because it made no sense. I had never cheated on my husband. I loved him so much and would never do anything like that. Daniel started asking questions so fast I could barely process them. How long has it been happening? Who is he? Does he know about Lily? I kept trying to explain there was no one else, but the more I denied it, the angrier he got. Then he finally screamed, "Stop lying to me." That night Daniel locked himself in his office for hours. I sat on Lily's bedroom floor crying while she slept beside me. And the entire time, I kept thinking the same thing. How do you prove something that sounds impossible? The next few weeks were hell. But instead of giving up, I started researching everything. False negatives, rare blood disorders, lab contamination, genetic conditions. I made lists of specialists, doctors, DNA experts. At first Daniel barely listened, but eventually he agreed to more testing. And honestly, that decision destroyed both of us. Because during one appointment, the doctor suddenly went quiet while looking at our results. Then she asked me a question I'll never forget. "Are you absolutely certain you gave birth to Lily?" I laughed at first because the question sounded ridiculous. Then she slowly explained something was wrong. Not only was Daniel excluded as Lily's biological father, I was excluded as her biological mother too. I don't know how this happened, but a police officer came to our house and took our statements, and we're suing the hospital where I gave birth. I don't know what happened to my baby, and that is terrifying. I have my husband back, but my whole world was still upended, and I just wish he'd never taken that stupid test. I've been sleeping in my daughter's room, and I'm so afraid that she's going to be taken away from me, but at the same time I want to know where my biological daughter is, and if she's okay. I pray to God she's okay. If we can find her birth family, I have no idea what we'll do. Hey guys, I know it's been a while since I made this post, but I finally decided to make an update. But first, a lot of people have villainized my husband, and I think it's only fair if he explains his side of the story.
Hey guys, I'm Julie's husband. I don't know how many of you have been down a self-doubt rabbit hole before, but it's not the most logical place to be. It's even less logical when you have the whole damn internet telling you that your wife is cheating, and that she's planning to take the house, and take you for all you're worth, and never really loved you. It's even worse when you've always thought she was too good for you anyway, and then you get not one, but two failed paternity tests on your daughter. When COVID happened, I got fat. I got depressed. I stopped feeling like a person. My wife stayed beautiful. She stayed herself. I was sure that she'd made a mistake, that she'd regret being with me. I started getting into some online groups, especially on Reddit, that were full of guys who'd been cheated on, lost custody, lost everything. And when someone said that his tip-off was that he and his wife both had blue eyes and their son had brown, I felt fucking stupid. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but when I made the post about my fears, everyone said that she was cheating. People said not to say anything, because she'd use it to hide her cheating and get ahead of me on the divorce. I got the test and I didn't really think it'd come back negative. Then it did. I didn't want to believe it, but yeah, I pulled back. I felt betrayed. I wanted to be a good husband, but I couldn't shake this. I tried to find evidence of an affair, and failed. I got another test. When that one was also negative, I snapped. If you've ever been cheated on, you know what it feels like. When my wife denied it, I got angrier. I just wanted her to leave. I didn't want to go through what everyone seemed to think was going to happen. I didn't want to lose custody of my kid. I was scared and angry, and I wanted the truth. I felt like if she couldn't even be honest, there was no getting past this. I took a few hours to calm down. I know I was wrong about the affair, but everyone else was in my ear. My kid is genuinely not biologically mine. I didn't immediately consider that switched at birth was an option. I've been through a messed up time, and I don't think getting angry one time because I thought my wife cheated and was lying about it makes me a monster.
Now that that's cleared, let me move on to the update. Thankfully, we're getting ahead of the situation. We've sued the hospital, and after months of working closely with a private investigator, we're finally in contact with our biological daughter. And honestly, I can't explain the emotions I felt when I first saw her. She looked exactly like me. Same eyes, same nose, same little nervous habit of tucking her hair behind her ear when she got shy. I remember gripping my husband's hand so hard because my entire body felt numb. This past few months, I had imagined my biological daughter as this abstract idea somewhere out in the world. And then suddenly, there she was. Real, breathing, laughing, existing without me for 5 whole years. Meanwhile, her second parents were standing across from us looking just as emotional and overwhelmed. Then came the hardest part. Figuring out what to do. Because contrary to what people online think, you can't just swap the kids back. That's not how this works emotionally. Our daughter is your daughter. DNA doesn't erase 5 years of bedtime stories, scraped knees, birthdays, hugs, and memories. Right now, we're slowly introducing the girls to each other through supervised visits and family outings. And thankfully, they actually get along really well. The first time they played together, they spent almost an hour coloring quietly beside each other like they'd known each other forever. We're taking the journey one step at a time, hoping to navigate better day by day. Thank you to everyone for your support and meaningful advice. My husband killed himself 3 days after he discovered I cheated on him. I genuinely don't know how to live with myself after this. Right now, I'm sitting alone in my house trying to understand how one terrible decision destroyed multiple lives in less than a week. And the worst part, nobody around me knows the full truth. If you saw me in public, you probably wouldn't even think anything was wrong. I think my brain is still in shock because every time I try to process what actually happened, it feels unreal. Like I'm remembering a nightmare instead of my own life. My husband is gone, and so is his father, and somehow it all traces back to me. Before anybody says it, yes, I know I'm the villain in this story. I know people are going to hate me after hearing this. But I need to tell someone the truth because the guilt is eating me alive. My husband struggled with severe depression long before I ever met him. When he was a teenager, things were apparently really bad. He told me that between the ages of 15 and 18, he was constantly self-harming and had attempted to take his own life multiple times. According to him, his father never really believed depression was real. He thought his son just needed to man up, go outside more, exercise, stop being dramatic, that kind of thing. Eventually my husband moved out young because their relationship got so toxic that he couldn't take it anymore. Then years later, I met him. I was 22, and honestly, it felt like one of those cheesy movie moments people make fun of. He walked into a mutual friend's birthday dinner wearing this dark blue hoodie, smiling at everybody like he already knew them. He was tall, ridiculously handsome, confident without being arrogant, and somehow managed to make every person around him feel important. And when he talked to me, it was like the rest of the room disappeared. I fell hard. He was intelligent, driven, funny in this dry sarcastic way, and he made me feel safe. I'd never experienced that before. For years, I honestly believed I had found the love of my life. And looking back now, I think I actually had. A couple years into our relationship, I convinced him to reconnect with his dad. At first he refused. He would shut down anytime his father got mentioned. But slowly, after months of conversations, he agreed to try again. And surprisingly, things actually improved. His father apologized for a lot of things, not everything, but enough for them to start rebuilding a relationship. By the time we got married 2 years later, his dad was there smiling in the front row crying harder than my own parents were. Over time, he even became a father figure to me too. That's part of what makes this entire thing so unbearable. Because if I had just gone home that night, none of this would have happened. A few weeks ago, my husband had been working insane overtime shifts because we were trying to save money for a vacation together. He was exhausted constantly, but he kept talking about how excited he was for us to finally get away somewhere warm for a week. Meanwhile, I went out with some friends one Friday night. At first it was normal, drinks, music, stupid conversations, everybody laughing too loudly. I'm not even a heavy drinker, which somehow makes this feel even more pathetic. Then I met him. I don't even know how to explain it without sounding disgusting. He was confident, handsome, and charismatic. He flirted with me all night, and instead of shutting it down like I should have, I entertained it. I kept telling myself it was harmless. I mean, it's just a little excitement. But deep down, I already knew I was crossing lines. And then somehow the night spiraled completely out of control. I went back to his place. I betrayed my husband. And for one selfish moment, I forgot about the man sitting at home working overtime, because he loved me enough to build a future with me. That's the part one can't forgive myself for. Not just the cheating, but how easy it became in that moment to completely ignore the person who trusted me the most. The next morning, reality hit me like a truck. I felt sick, actually sick. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed staring at my phone thinking, what have I done? The other guy kept texting me afterward, flirting, suggesting we meet again. And even though I don't think I actually would have seen him again, I didn't shut it down either, because part of me liked the attention. That tiny selfish decision destroyed everything. The next morning, my husband found the messages. I had left my phone face up near the bed before taking a shower, and curiosity got the better of him. I still remember the look on his face. He wasn't even angry. That would have almost been easier. He just looked empty, like somebody had reached inside him and pulled something out. He barely even yelled. He just kept asking why, over and over again. Why? I kept crying while apologizing, but I could literally see him shutting down in real time. For the next 3 days, he barely spoke. He wandered through the house like a ghost. And then on the third day, I found him in the garage. I'm not describing that part in detail. I can't. I still hear the sound I made when I saw him. Sometimes I think my brain permanently broke in that moment. The paramedics came. The police came. People kept asking questions. And suddenly my entire life became divided into two timelines. Before I cheated. And after. But it gets so much worse. My husband left behind a note. Most of it talked about how betrayal was always his biggest fear. He wrote that after discovering the affair, he felt all the darkness from his teenage years coming back stronger than ever. He said he can't afford to fight his own mind anymore. At the very end, he wrote that he loved me. Even after everything, he still wrote that he loved me. I haven't been able to sleep since reading it. Then his father came over later that night, completely destroyed, crying harder than I've ever seen a grown man cry before. And I lied to him. I told him it was because of depression. I didn't tell him about the affair. I couldn't do it. Part of me was terrified he'd hate me forever. Another part of me genuinely thought telling him the truth would destroy him even more. So I lied. I let that man believe his son's death traced back to the depression he ignored years ago. And that same night, his father took his own life too. And now I'm stuck here replaying every single decision over and over again, wondering how many lives I destroyed because of one selfish night. I am so scared of dying, but I feel I have to. I have the person I fucked that night coming over soon, just to take care of me. He's going to make sure I don't kill myself. And I know people are going to have opinions about me. I know I'm going to be judged harshly for what I did. Maybe I deserve some of it, but please cut me some slack. My husband and my father figure just died and it's all my fault. Hopefully, one day I would learn to forgive myself. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Reddit stories that hit even harder.